Reflections on the Good News of Jesus Christ, according to Matthew, for the Feast of the Epiphany. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out. And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord. There is something delightful about this Feast of the Epiphany. Yes, but there is also something dangerous. The delightful part is easy to see. It is the Christmas story, now expanded to include wise men and camels, a star, precious gifts. And for me, it brings forth memories of an opera I've known since childhood, Amahl and the Night Visitors by Giancarlo Menotti. The story of the kings who, following the star, stop for the night at the house of a poor widow and her crippled son, Amahl. When he learns of the king's destination and sees their expensive gifts, he wants to give a gift to the Christ child too. But all he has is his crutch. And in a moment of impulsive generosity, he decides to send that, since, as he sings, "Who knows, he may need one, and this I made myself." He steps forward to give the crutch to the kings and discovers that he can walk. In giving the gift, he has been healed. It is a delightful feast, yes, but dangerous? Oh, indeed, yes. The danger is that we may see this feast, and perhaps the entire Christmas season along with it, as only a touching story, a children's story, something that tugs at our hearts and our memories, but that finally is meant to be packed away with the tinsel and ornaments for another year. The danger is that we may miss the deeper meanings of the story, meanings that can speak to us who are adults. These wise men, why were they searching? Doesn't being wise mean you found what is important and meaningful? No. They were wise enough to have learned that the goal of life is not a goal. It is a journey. Have you noticed how many journeys these Christmas stories contain? Mary goes to visit Elizabeth in the hill country of Judea. Joseph and Mary go from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus go from Bethlehem to Egypt, and then from Egypt to Nazareth. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus go to Jerusalem for his presentation in the temple. And today, we learn of the wise men coming from the east to Jerusalem, then to Bethlehem, and then returning to their own country by a different route. Do you see a pattern here? The goal of life, these stories are telling us, is not to arrive, to make it, whatever that may mean, but to continue the journey of faith throughout the whole of our lives. Not necessarily a geographical journey, but a journey of discovery and loss, joy and tears, even mystery and darkness, trusting that it is always God who is leading us. Darkness. Did you notice how much the reading talks about the dark night on this Epiphany, which is the very feast of the manifestation of the light of Christ? It's because God's light only comes to us thoroughly mingled with the grubby reality of human life. Why else did God come as an infant? The Christ child did not arrive to erase our troubles, but to join us in them, to be a quiet light in our darkness, not a blinding replacement for the dark. So we have to be like the wise men. We have to have our own puzzling, sleepless nights, and we have to search and not rest until we see the light, as God chooses to reveal it in each of our lives. But it is often not an easy search. Why? Well, for one thing, it's because our culture no longer carries the faith or the church. Simply put, not that many years ago, we knew how to be believers and churchgoers and faithful people when we lived inside communities that helped carry that for us. Communities within which most everyone seemed to believe, most everyone went to church, most everyone had the same set of moral values. Not incidentally, these communities were often immigrant, poor, undereducated, and culturally marginalized. In that type of setting, quite frankly, faith works much more easily. Why? Because, among other reasons, as Jesus said, it is hard for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. Now, when Jesus talks about the rich, he's not describing their income or talking about how much money they have in the bank. Rather, he is describing those people who think that they are managing life pretty well on their own. So they don't see much need for Jesus, the church, the faith, or the kingdom of God. To be committed believers today, to have faith that truly gives direction to our lives, requires finding an inner anchor beyond the support and security we might have found in being part of the majority, in which we have the comfort of knowing that since everyone else is doing this, it probably makes sense. Many of us now live in situations where to believe in God and faith is to find ourselves without the support of the majority, and at times without the support even of those closest to us: spouse, family, friends, colleagues. But what is this deep inner anchor that is needed to sustain us? What can give us the support we need? What can help sustain our faith when we feel like we're part of a shrinking minority is an inner center of strength, meaning, and affectivity that is rooted in something beyond what the world thinks and what the majority are doing on any given day. There has to be a source deeper than outside affirmation to give us meaning, justification, and energy to continue to do what faith asks of us. How to find that source? It depends a lot on following the right star. What star are you following? The wise men were guided by the world's first GPS. What are you relying on to give guidance, meaning, and purpose to your life? Is it doing the job? Will it get you to the goal you really desire? This Feast of the Epiphany is about much more than wise men, camels, and precious gifts. Before you pack up the Christmas season and store it away for another year, give yourself this gift. Take a few minutes to ask, what star am I following? And if I'm not sure, or think maybe I'm not following the right one, then what? Well, if you're looking for the right star, first you have to enter the darkness of night, whatever that might mean in your life. God is not always apparent, but God is always present, even in the darkness. That's where light shines best. Christ the light has been born for us. Look for his light, his star, in your darkness.